Welcome back to the Laughing My Age Off podcast. I'm so excited for today's episode because we're talking about an emerging vitamin. Yes, a vitamin that's in the marketplace. Maybe you've heard of it. If not, you've heard it here first. It's called vitamin T, as in terrific, because this vitamin is terrific. Okay. And it's something that you may have already been taking and not realizing it. Okay. So, in today's podcast, we're going to be diving into this new trending vitamin because it's all about living longer here on the Laughing My Age Off podcast.
Embark on a journey to defy time with LMAO, Laughing My Age Off podcast. I'm your host, Erica Kelly, and I started this show because, like you, I'm curious about the secrets to staying youthful as the years go by. Join me as we discover the secrets to slowing down the aging process, exploring expert insights, cutting-edge research, and personal experiences that uncover the art of aging gracefully. It's time to laugh, learn, and embrace a life full of vitality together.
Okay, let's get right into it. We're going to be talking about vitamin T, as in terrific. And no, that was a little teaser because it's not actually something that you ingest. Okay, it's actually a vacation trend. Okay, turns out science is backing up what we knew deep down inside, and that travel isn't just fun. It's actually good for us, mind, body, and soul. And so today we're going to talk about how we can slow down the aging process by unpacking this vitamin T. All right. We're going to age like a fine wine. And by the way, if you missed that wine podcast episode, I think it's like 15 on my series that has gotten the most downloads. Fine wine. Wine is a great thing to have as long as it's clean. But getting back to vitamin T, this is just going to be the perfect excuse for you to pack your bags and plan your next trip. All right. So, how can vacations, all right, we're talking about a specific vacation that's trending. All right. These aren't the vacations where you jam pack them and then come back more exhausted than when you left for the vacation. No, the vitamin T, what is it? It's according to a New York Post article. Okay, not just New York Post is talking about this. All right. This is popping up everywhere. Just go ahead and Google it. It's the idea that travel is actually a necessity for a longer, healthier life. And the travel for these types of vacations are ones that are going to be stress reducing, perspective shifting, and of course, rejuvenating for your life. And, vacations like these that we're going to talk about really force us to break away from our routines. They get us moving. And if we do it right, it really fills us up mentally, emotionally, and even spiritually. Okay. So, again, these aren't the vacations where you're getting hungover at, the Dominican Republic in the poolside, having way too many pina coladas. By the way, those are so filling. I don't know how people drink those. But it's not those types of vacations, although those are really, really fun too. And I think they have, a place and time for it. But these vacations are where you're going to come back glowing and not groaning. Okay. So these vacations really lower your stress levels, which means you're going to lower your cortisol levels, which we all know cortisol, too much cortisol really ages us too fast. Okay. So these vacations are also, you're going to choose vacations where you get a lot more movement, hiking, think walking, and maybe even swimming. Okay. These, of course, when you're on vacation, I don't know about you, I just want to pause here for a second. I'm thinking of, recollection of all the vacations I've been on. And the ones that I've liked the most, of course, were very far away, far away from the Midwest. All right. I live in Florida now, but in the case where I was going on these vacations, I was living in the Midwest. I now live in Florida. So I do a lot of mini vacations away, which is great. So we're going to talk about that later. But, you know, Hawaii, I think Hawaii, I know they've had fires not too long ago too. So we went to Maui, Honolulu, which is very city-like. I don't recommend Honolulu to get the vitamin T, but the other islands, of course, are really nice too because when you go to these islands, I forgot what that island was. This one was, oh wait, so there's Maui, Oahu, Kauai, Molokai, Lanai, and Niahu. Okay, so Kauai is often called the Garden Isle. Okay, that's the one I'm talking about. That one was more of the quieter part of Hawaii. And I just remember walking a lot because, they've got a lot of waterfalls. The landscape, just the scenery is enough to give you that vitamin T, right? There's a lot of hiking, check, walking, check. What else is a requirement for vitamin T? Um, so the mobility's there. And also where you're taking in nature, that's also a part of the vitamin T. So check. So when you are making your next vacation, see if it's going to be checking some of those boxes. Nature, mobility. So you're not just laying around on a beach. Maybe you're walking on the beach. Okay. So I have to say that was one of the most epic ones because, you know, walking and hiking trails was so rejuvenating for the soul. All right. And there's something magical in Hawaii. There's just like, I think of Moana, right? And I didn't see Moana until after I went to Hawaii, but I think back now and there's just a lot of, the nature with the spiritual, you know, vibe there is huge. It's something where I've never experienced in the US. Okay. So think of, your next destination in this way. And I have a few examples here. Some of these are taken from the New York Post, and you can look it up too if you need to jot these down. But Sedona, Arizona is highly rated. And if you don't know, Arizona is a big, well known place for wellness retreats, energy vortexes, and sound healing. And, you can go for a hike, meditate on the red rocks, or, they've got like drum circles out there. It's just a very spiritual place. So it's mostly warm out there too. So put that one on your list. Then you have Oahe, California. So think hot springs, forest bathing, holistic healing. And you also have another place in California. California's big. Hopefully they're still okay since the fires. I'm not sure where this is on the map, but Big Sur, that's SUR, Big Sur, California. It's home to the Esalen Institute, which has been hosting mind, body, spirit retreats for decades. That one sounds really appealing. And they're also known for ocean views that, of course, will, make you forget what stress even is. Then you have St. Croix, yoga by the ocean, stand up paddleboarding, and they also have bioluminescent kayaking at night. So I guess the water actually glows. That's pretty neat. So that's in LaCroix. The town is, or the village, Christiansted is where it's at. Then you have Puerto Rico, right? I don't think I've been to any of these on this list here. So Puerto Rico, Rincon, if that's pronouncing that right, Rincon. And so they're known for snorkeling, surfing, farmers markets, and sound bath sessions. Also, Puerto Rico, you don't need a passport. At least right now you don't. So I don't think they're going to change. But those are the top, what is that, five? And you can see all of them have a lot of things in common: movement, relaxation, and nature. So have you been to any of those? I have not been to any of those, but that St. Croix with the bioluminescent water sounds really exciting. So there's also some more places outside of the top five. We have, blue zone retreats. One of my first episodes, we talked about the blue zones and how, these certain areas around the world are known to have people who are aging the slowest for good reason. Go check out that episode. It's like episode 1 or 2. And so the destinations there were Sardinia, Italy, Okinawa, Japan, Nicoya, Costa Rica, Icaria, Greece, and Loma Linda in California. So again, these have one of the most, record breaking people of living the longest. They have natural movement in their day, whole food diets, social connection, and they have stress reducing rituals like afternoon siestas. All right. So let's talk about like hot spring retreats. First of all, have you ever been to a hot spring retreat? I have not. But some examples of that are in destinations Baden. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. That's in Germany, Baden. The Blue Lagoon in Iceland. Ooh, that is on my bucket list. Iceland. You have Hakone, Japan, Budapest, Hungary. So these are one of the most popular places for thermal baths and hot spring retreats. Those are thermal baths are loaded with minerals that relax the muscles, they boost circulation, and even help detox the body. So these have a common thread of, therapies, hydrotherapy, and saunas for your vacation. All right. Now let's talk about silent meditation. Has anybody ever done a silent meditation? Those are trending, and I've been hearing a lot about those where, you really just take in the silence because we are so busy day in and day out. And so some of the popular destinations for silent meditations and mindfulness retreats are located in Spirit Rock, California. You also have Plum Village in France and Bali in Indonesia. So, of course, meditation retreats can reset your nervous system and improve mental clarity. Then you have Ayurveda and detox retreats. We're just going to go down the list here of different types of retreats that you can do. You have Ayurvedic retreats that focus on wellness through ancient detox methods, yoga, herbal treatments, and plant based diets. So, Ayurveda, I also have an episode on Ayurveda. I can't remember that episode, but that's basically reducing inflammation in the body, improving digestion, and balancing energy levels. And of course, you can't forget about the ocean therapy, and blue mind travel. I really am interested in this one. Okay, so guess what's on the list? Hawaii. You also have the Great Barrier Reef in Australia and Santorini, Greece. So, it's no surprise that research shows that being near water reduces cortisol, boosts your mood, and enhances creativity. And of course, you can do snorkeling, paddleboarding, and just staring at the ocean can be a natural antidepressant. So if you live like in Florida, like me, it's really nice to take a weekend to just go to the beach. There's beaches all over, of course, in Florida. So if you can't get away, and you live somewhere south, find a natural body of water. And then you have, get this, a sleep and digital detox retreat. Okay, sign me up for this one. If you guys listen to one of the previous episodes on napping, this is up my alley. So here are some destinations if you're into that type of retreat. You've got Switzerland. The town is called Clinique La Prairie. You have Thailand, and that's in Kamalaya Koh Samui. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that one right. Kamalaya Koh Samui, Kohsamui. And then you have Sedona, Arizona. There's another one for Arizona. Okay. So these are just a handful of ways that you can think of to add that vitamin T into your vacation plans. All right. So if you're bored of going to the beach, I don't know how you can be bored of going to the beach, but if you want to incorporate some of those other aspects to gain more benefits of slowing down the aging process, there's your list. There's your list. Okay. So depending on your age and how old you are, there are different stages of getting that vitamin T. So if you're like a young professional, let's say 18 to 30-ish, they mentioned that young professionals need vitamin T a lot because that's the age where you're really hitting the ground hard, right? So you want to avoid burnout and you need some breaks. And then if you're a midlife traveler, you want to really take the angle of, focusing on travel to rediscover your purpose, adventure, and wellness. And then, of course, you have the third segment. All right. So midlife, you're talking, I guess midlife is like what, 45 and up. But if you feel like you're midlife at 30, go ahead and fall into that bucket. But you also have this last segment here. It's retirement travelers, which I feel like I'm surrounded by them in Florida. Retirement travelers, there's a rise of longevity travel. You have your senior adventure trips, right? Go on some of those group adventures and wellness focused retreats. So if you're unsure where you fall, that's a good guide, between young professionals, midlife travelers, and retirement travelers. So you figured out, yes, this is something that you want to do. Now let's figure out how to plan this trip. Okay. So when you're looking for places, there's also some other things to consider. So where are you going to stay? Think about your accommodations. So they say to get maximum benefits of vitamin T, you want to look for hotels or resorts with spas, yoga, and or, some type of exercise class and healthy food options. How many times do you go on vacation and you just eat and eat and eat and you're just eating way too much? So if you're going to be planning a vacation, make sure there's some good healthy options there. All right. So also think about planning for both activity and relaxation. Have you ever been on a trip where it's just nonstop and then you're just so exhausted when you get back, right? So have a mix of hiking, spa days, and good food, right? I think one of the most fun things you can do when you're traveling is trying new food places. And, I remember going to Thailand, and that was one of the best places to really, experience a new culture. And some of the food was a little interesting, especially on street side, right? Those little shops, those hole in the wall places. Usually you can get the best food, but, give yourself the experience to really take yourself into the whole culture there. And also make sure you get some of that exercise too. Also, you want to make sure you're going to skip that overscheduling. So if you have someone in your group, or maybe it's your partner that's like, we're here at this time, the whole Clark Griswold thing, that is not this type of vacation. So you want to have, a balance of that. Just don't overdo it. Don't invite the overschedulers. Just put it that way. Invite the person that's just really easygoing. Okay. And here's another tip: unplug. All right. That goes without saying, right? We know that when we go on vacation, you want to just not be so attached to your electronics, okay, your phone. And I have never been on a cruise before, but my daughter's actually on a cruise right now with her friend and her friend's, her friend's family. And it was a last minute type thing. But what I learned is that, you either have to pay a fee to have the internet, which the kids don't need anyway, right? Especially teenagers. My daughter's a teenager. So that is something too to think about. Like, I think cruises could really fall into this because they're already doing that for you, unless you want to pay that extra fee. So put down the phones, try to take a break from it, at least certain pockets of time. All right, that's only going to give you the most for your vitamin T. Okay. Let's talk about how there's some alternative ways to get vitamin T. Let's say you're super busy, don't have time for like long vacations, or maybe you're strapped, for cash and you need something that's super budget friendly. You can't go to Hawaii. You can't go to Thailand because number one, those are far. Number two, they're a little bit pricey. Okay. So think about weekend getaways and staycations. All right. So a quick trip to the nearby beach, which we talked about. Maybe you live somewhere that's close to a lot of nature, maybe a mountain, maybe you live somewhere around Tennessee, lucky you, or, you know, maybe just go someplace that has a lot of hiking. So a lot of forest preserves are good for that. That's one tip. Then you have wellness travel on a budget. So opt for destinations where your currency can go a little bit further. And, you know, there's a lot of good websites or deals. You just got to be on a list. And I can't think of the one. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick. Not really prepared. Some things just come up during these podcasts, and I'm like, oh, that would be good to have.
And now for a commercial break. Sitting for hours at my corporate job really wrecked my posture and left me with constant lower back pain. I didn't understand it. I was in my mid-30s. Was this a life sentence? I just felt so stuck. I didn't know what to do until I discovered mat-based Pilates. The movement, the core work, it really transformed my body and most importantly, relieved my lower back pain. And that's why I became a certified instructor, to help others break free from that same cycle. So if you're struggling with lower back pain, I get it, but it's not a life sentence. Join me for your first free mat-based Pilates class from your very own home on Zoom. This is a workout designed to restore your balance and strength. And again, your first class is free. They're live every Monday and Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The link is in the show notes. We'll see you there. And now back to our show.
So I think there's like last minute flights, and I'm on this one too. I get so many where I'm just like, oh, I should go there. Okay, so the two websites that I would recommend are for lodging, hotel tonight. Those are your last minute hotel deals. So, of course, these are last minute. So that's how they can give you those really good prices. And then you have Airfare Watchdog. Again, that's Airfare Watchdog. So just go to their site. You can put in like a favorite flight. And then when something comes up, they will hit you up with a deal. All right. And your inbox will get a ton of deals. Just be warned, you can always opt out. But I found that those two are really good if you are, getting prepared to maybe go for a long weekend, and maybe you're not prepared, but then you get something in your inbox and you're like, this is the right time because it's the right price. So there's that for you. And, maybe you just can't get away in general. So mindful travel at home. So maybe go to a new restaurant, listen to music from another culture. A downtown Fort Myers has like music walk. I always feel like, I know I live in a place where it's like vacation, but it's really nice to get away, go to a festival, go to something, and never discount going to a concert. Okay. So a really good concert can really immerse you into just a place where your soul just starts to come alive, and everybody's energy is really at that same level, and I just love to do that. So I do that a lot during the summertime. I go visit my sister. I mean, there's no spas there per se, although we did do that one time for our birthday. We went to this really cool salt rock spa. I highly recommend that. That's really good for the soul. But getting back to the music part, you can buy yourself a concert ticket and really just get yourself immersed into a different place for a few hours. So those are some alternative tips to vitamin T that will give you a little bit of that benefit without breaking the budget, or, maybe you don't have the time for. So here's my challenge to you. I want you to start planning a trip that isn't just about checking off a destination, but it's truly about recharging yourself. Okay. So whether it's a weekend getaway, or maybe it's one of those retreats, a yoga retreat, Pilates retreat, which I need to make. It's on my list. So keep listening if you're interested in one of those retreats. Pick a place that makes your body and your mind feel good. So that's it for today's episode. I hope this gave you some inspiration and maybe a little travel envy. And if you like this episode, don't forget to subscribe to this show, and please leave a review and share it with someone who needs a vacation. All right. We'll talk to you later. Bye.
Surprise! We have a little goodie for you at the end of each episode, starting with this one. And if you missed episode number 9, which was the science behind laughter, you know that the more we laugh, the more anti-aging benefits we can have to slowing down the aging process, like reducing depression, anxiety, and boosting creativity, and of course, self-love. So what we're going to do here is with each episode, we're going to leave you with a joke. Okay, and I can't promise you each and every one is going to be super, super funny, but my goal is to leave you with a smile and to change your energy, to change your frequency, to change your life so that you are slowing down the aging process, okay? And if you haven't listened to that episode 9, go watch it, all right? So also, one last thing before I give you the drum roll of this joke. If you have a great joke to share, please send it my way, because I feel like I'm setting myself up to something a little bit more challenging with this podcast, and I'm not sure if I'm going to have enough jokes. So please help me. Send it my way on Instagram, message me at Fit and Pretty Life, or email me at fitandprettyek@gmail.com. All right, all this stuff is going to be in the show notes, so all you're going to have to do is just click on it. So are you ready? This is my joke today. Okay, why did the panda become a chef? Because he was great at making panda cakes. All right, that's it for today. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.